Jamming with History, Chapter 5, Malicious Ignorance. Roman entered the house. Almost immediately, Danny, one of the staff members, greeted him and took his backpack as well as the helmet and jacket from him. Either he had seen Roman arrive, or he was just that good at his job that he adapted to changes in routine so easily. "Would you please make sure nothing happens to these?" Roman requested as he gestured to the jacket and helmet. "They belong to a friend." The ease with which he said it kind of made him smile. Who would have thought that he and Virgil would become friends within 48 hours of actually meeting each other? "Yes, Master Roman," Danny bid with a wink. The staff knew Roman didn't care about formalities, and Roman knew that when his parents might hear, the staff would still use him. As Danny left to put Roman's things away, Roman left the hallway and entered the living room. "Mother?" he called out. He was sure she'd be here. "We're in the salon, Roman." It was his father's voice that had called out. The living room was actually more like 3 rooms. The TV room, the entertainment room as his parents called it, at the front of the house, the salon, normally only used for guests, located at the back, and the sitting room in the middle, where they usually relaxed during the day. It had a door to the dining room and of course doors leading to the TV room and the salon. Roman walked to the back of the house. The salon was more like an indoor porch. It stretched out over the back of the house, with a door leading to the sitting room, one to the hallway so guests could be let in right to the salon, and one to the kitchens on the other side of the hallway. Roman thought it was weird that the kitchen and the dining room were on opposite sides of the house. When he was home alone, he ate in the kitchens with the staff. His parents didn't need to know that. His parents were sitting in the love seat. For all the clichés his parents inhabited, the rich couple with a loveless marriage was not one of them. His parents loved each other a lot, and they weren't afraid to show that to him or the staff, even if they were rather professional whenever they had guests over. From the way they were sitting, Roman could tell his father had been comforting his mother. Had paranoia upset her that much? "Roman, take a seat, please," his father instructed. Oh, that voice meant he might get in trouble. He sat down, doing his best to look clueless. "Something the matter?" he asked worriedly. "Who was that boy with you?" his mother asked. Angelica Fernandez was many things. A killer businesswoman, a style icon, a talented designer. Subtle with her emotions, she was not. Roman and his father had redirected many conversations to save business guests from whatever line of conversations was about to find them at the wrong end of her temper. Virgil? Virgil Sanders? He's my project partner. He noticed I didn't have my bike, and my friends from theater couldn't drop me off here, so he offered me a ride instead. I didn't want to bother you if you were still working, so I figured this would be best for everyone. Roman felt he did a good job pretending to be oblivious to the issue here. He even suggested giving me rides for the rest of the semester. Roman suddenly wondered if it was out of the way for Virgil. He'd have to ask tomorrow. Sure, it was funny, but he didn't want it to cost Virgil a ridiculous amount of money and time. "Right on that death trap?" his mother exclaimed. Roman leaned back a little, his face a mask of surprise. "He had a spare jacket and a helmet for me, and he was actually pretty safe most of the way," Roman assured him. He couldn't pretend like that stunt on the driveway was safe per se. It was kind of nice that their primary worry seemed to be his physical safety. It was one of those things you knew, but were still nice to see put in practice. "Roman, what your mother and I were wondering," his father offered, laying a soothing hand on his mother's. "Surely there were other classmates who would have loved to work with you on this project. What exactly led you to choose this Virgil?" Roman sighed. "I am sure there were others who wouldn't mind working with me, but the teacher assigned the sparings, and Virgil and I work well together. I was a little worried he'd try and get me to do all the work because, well," he gestured to himself, "but he's really pulling his weight." His parents exchanged a look. "We are just trying to look out for you, mijo," his father pressed gently. Lucas Fernandez was strict and passionate, but, especially when his wife was very stressed, also soft-spoken and patient. Roman did not dislike his parents. In many aspects he admired them and hoped he could be a little like them one day. And he loved them dearly. Still, he was more aware of their flaws than they were, and therein lay their current communication issue. "We are worried that this boy may end up hurting you." Roman cocked his head. "But he's never bullied me or anyone before. And like I said, he's been a good project partner so far," Roman assured his father, wondering if he would get him to say it outright. "Son, you'll be spending a lot of time as it is with this boy, and he has already managed to increase that time by offering you rides on his bike. We ask you, please be careful who you let into your life, our lives. We have kept you out of the public eye so far, but you will be 18 soon, and a lot of those protections will fall away. People may take advantage of you and—" "Father, surely you don't mean to imply Virgil is trying to steal from us, or get his 15 minutes of fame through me?" Roman asked, perplexed. He saw his parents struggle for an answer that didn't make them sound bad. "No, of course not," his mother said eventually. "We simply wish to remind you that who you are seen with, and how you are seen, it has consequences. We support you in all that you find yourself passionate about, whether it's a hobby, a career, a class, or a classmate." Roman should tell Virgil that his mother already assumed that they were boyfriends. Sure, he probably intended to imply some kind of attraction between them with his stunt from earlier, but dating was probably a few steps farther than he intended to go. Roman wasn't officially out to his parents or anyone yet, for the reasons his mother just gave. His parents had dropped hints that they knew and would be supportive, which he didn't doubt for a minute, but he was also fairly sure that once he did come out to them, they'd expect him to come out to the whole world. He knew that there were certain scare tactics put in place to keep the press off his back until he turned 18. He'd have to mention that to Virgil too. 1 month from now, their audience might increase dramatically. "Well, I am not going to complain to my teacher about the pairing they chose. It would not reflect well on my image if I were to shun Virgil for no good reason, wouldn't it?" He reasoned calmly, pretending not to catch the implications his mother had made. This was clearly something his parents had not considered yet. "I suppose. Just be careful," his mother repeated. "Thank you, Mother. I will," he replied as he got up. "I'm going to get started on my part of the preliminary research. You would not believe the debate we had about how to divide the work. It's not easy to come up with a system that's fair," Roman sighed. In the end, they agreed that it would be best if they'd brushed up on their knowledge of ancient Greek and Rome to help in their search. But after that time was generally divided in Middle-aged and modern times, a period stretching over 1,000 years and 500 years respectively. But then again, enough happened in those 500 years of modern history to make up for that. In the end, they had agreed that as they weren't doing anything in depth yet, they'd toss a coin for who got which. Roman had ended up with the medieval times, while Virgil got modern history. He went up to his room. Before he got started with his homework and research, he texted Virgil. "Mom thinks we are together. Just a heads up." A few minutes later, he gets a text back. "Lol, Thomas thinks we should be." This made Roman chuckle. He could definitely imagine Thomas gush about any person of potential romantic interest to Virgil. He got another text. "What do you want to do? Still on board?" Roman thought about how worried his mother had been earlier, but he felt like he had diffused that situation mostly. He decided to keep it going. He'd stop it if things went too far. "Let them think. So long as no one starts planning our wedding, I'm good." He went back to his work. Yeah, this was going to be fun.